What's up? I'm Travis Preston, post-producer and founder of Electric Puzzle, and welcome back to my Post Basics series. Today we're going to take a big picture look at the whole post pipeline for live action, ads, features, and series. Now this video only covers live action for now, but as an animation lover, I promise I'll be breaking down 2D and 3D animation pipelines in future videos, and may have already by the time you see this. So let's get into it. If you've been following the series so far, you probably already know my favorite phrase: begin at the end. Whoops, not exactly what I meant. What I mean is your whole post pipeline can and should be decided in pre-production, so you can stress test it before the circus begins. To help you get your bearings, here's what the whole thing looks like. Footage is captured on set. Overnight, dailies are created for production to review the following morning and for editorial to begin assembling with. Once you lock picture, editorial turns over their locked assets to sound and your DI or post house. DI then conforms dailies back to raw media and shares with your other finishing vendors. When their work is approved by the director, they send their finalized assets back to your post house to create deliverables and eventually archive once they've all been accepted. Now let's walk through how it all works in practice. The footage or data is captured by your camera and sound departments during production. Your on-set digital imaging technician, DIT, or loader backs the footage up onto 2 duplicate RAID drives once camera cards fill up. At lunch break or end of day, the DIT then sends the camera cards to get dropped off with dailies via your transpo team or one lucky PA. Here's a quick little calculation you can do to determine what size production drives you need. First, check your camera manufacturer's website to find its gigabytes per capture hour. Multiply that times your planned daily recording hours, times the number of cameras, times the amount of shoot days. Divide that by 1,000 to get that number in terabytes. Times 2 to make sure you're allowing for performance headroom, additional space for dailies, deliverables, and other assets you create along the way. Then round up to the next size they sell and buy 2 of them for your double backup. This should give you enough space not only for the raw data, but for dailies plus your delivery and archival assets at the end. Once camera cards arrive, the dailies team will then add your production LUTs, sync audio, and transcode the footage into a smaller codec so that your production team can review it and your editors can begin assembling. Then this sequence basically repeats daily until production wraps. Shoot, back up on set, back up by the dailies team, verify, rinse cards, and repeat. When production wraps, the big drives from set get sent to both the production company and your post house, and attention moves to editorial. I've talked a little about the phases of editorial in my Post Basics scheduling video already, so check that out if you haven't yet. Once picture is locked, assets get sent out to VFX, sound, and your colorist. This is probably my favorite part of the process because once the project goes through this overcomplicated car wash, it comes out on the other side gleaming like a real movie, or series, or ad. You get it. Once VFX are completed and approved by your director, the shots are dropped in by the online department and handed off to color and sound for the final steps. Now you can have your final color session with the director and DP. Online then sends a final reference over to sound so that your directors and producers have the latest and greatest picture on the mix stage while dialing in the final levels. This is where your director and re-recording mixer become best friends and you get to take a pina colada break. Hey! Oh, right. Delivery. Your delivery platform determines your color space, which determines your camera types. That's why it's crucial you set up your color pipeline before production begins, so you can choose your Goldilocks camera, not one that underperforms or one that overperforms at an unnecessary cost, but one that's just right for where your project will end up. And if you're unsure where that is, just ask yourself, where will most people most likely see this? At this point, your post producer will hand over a list of final deliverables to the mastering team, and once they've got the finalized assets from your vendors, they will create an uncompressed image sequence of your project. Your post producer should definitely watch that uncompressed version for accuracy because all other deliverables will be derived from it. Finally, it's time to archive. You'll create a backup folder on LTOs or wherever you store your archives with your uncompressed picture files, plus your master and project files from your other vendors so that it can all be removed from any active working drives or servers, freeing up some space for your other projects. If you're clever, all of this, vendors, color space, schedule, can be decided in pre-production, and you can use your camera test footage to run through the entire thing before that first day of shooting. If not, my website is in the description below, and you may want to give me a call. There's a lot more to dive into, but hopefully this provided you with a good general overview of the process. Let me know in the comments if there's a specific area you'd like to hear more about, and check out the other videos in the series if you haven't already. Till next time, prepare to post.